Let's bring in South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham now, a Trump surrogate. Senator, great to have you on the program today. Now we're all thinking about Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, he always perks up.
I'm thinking about Chick-fil-A. Good luck to Trump.
Good to have you here. So Nikki Haley obviously is not pulling out of the race. She's vowing to stay in fact, through Super Tuesday. So why do you think that is, considering the polls?
Well, there are a lot of people around her making a ton of money. If you've been watching TV here, every 30 seconds is a Nikki Haley ad. You know, I think she believes she has a mission here. The people of her home state will speak tonight. I think it will be a pretty loud, resounding statement that they want Trump. I've got nothing against Nikki. I like her a lot. She has a wonderful family. But I'm not looking at, you know, who can beat Biden. I think Trump can for sure. I'm looking at who can turn the world around. And I think that's Trump better than anybody. Biden's an absolute disaster as commander-in-chief. This poor girl that got killed in Georgia because of a legal immigrant. The world is on fire in so many places. We're stop exporting natural gas we own, which helps Russia. So I can't wait till the Biden nightmare's over. And one thing I can tell you, the day that Trump gets to be president, the world's going to fall in place pretty quickly. Yeah.
You know, immigration clearly a big issue, Governor, particularly after what happened at the University of Georgia on Thursday night. But another big issue, and this is one that Democrats pummeled Republicans over in 2022, was the abortion issue. Yeah. Roe v. Wade was the big issue, the Dobbs decision in 2022. Now, by the way that the White House is spinning this, it looks like they're going to pummel you between here and November on the Alabama Supreme Court ruling on IVF. Listen to what Karine Jean-Pierre said yesterday.
It's a devastating example of the kind of chaos and confusion that has resulted from the overturning of Roe v. Wade.
So they're going to pummel you between now and November again on this issue that the Alabama Supreme Court ruling was connected to Roe v. Wade. 2022, Republicans didn't have an answer for the Democratic tax on abortion. How are you going to answer this?
Well, number one, President Trump gave a very good answer. We're for keeping these clinics open. You know, there will be a correction of the Alabama ruling by the state legislature in Alabama. The governor's come out, but we want to keep these clinics open. The joy of having a child is enhanced by these clinics. The reason they're talking about abortion is they can't talk about anything else. If they can't scare the hell out of you about us, they're going to lose. 80% of the people think the country's going in the wrong direction. This is not going to be a referendum over fertility clinics. It's going to be about your safety. Look what happened in Georgia. It's going to be about an out-of-control border. It's going to be about high inflation. So good luck with that. We're going to support birth control. Hillary Clinton's trying to say we're against birth control. The Republicans were not. We're going to keep these fertility clinics open. And we're going to talk about things that matter the most to the American people, which is the future of their children, their own safety, their own prosperity.
As we do sort of look forward, as the former president is doing, not so much focusing on South Carolina, but looking forward to the general election. Last night, he spent some time praising Tim Scott, your Republican colleague in the Senate, for endorsing him. Listen.
Senator Tim Scott, he gave me his endorsement. He's been one of the best people we've ever had involved with us. He's been unbelievable. He's a dynamo. He's better for me than he is for himself. You know that? Right? You know why? He's a good person. I don't mind speaking about myself. He doesn't like speaking about himself. He likes speaking about people that he thinks can do a great job.
All right. Well, so we know Tim Scott's on the VP shortlist, Senator. What can you tell us? Is this the person? Is this his running mate?
There's some, excuse me, there's some chemistry there. I've been around both of them. I'll see him later on tonight. He likes Tim. Tim really is leaning into helping President Trump become president. Tim is ready to be president. That's the most important thing of a vice president. I hope he'll pick Tim. I know he's got a lot of good choices, President Trump, but you couldn't do any better than Tim Scott. He's solid in every way from a conservative point of view. I think he can help grow the party, and he's genuinely a nice man. So the country would be in good hands if Tim Scott were the vice president.
Another question to you, Senator, and this is about calls from Trump supporters for Nikki Haley to drop out, which would make for one of the longest general election campaigns in history, at least a non-incumbent year.
Yeah.
If you take a look at 2016, that contest went all the way to May 3rd.
Right.
When Ted Cruz finally dropped out. And a lot of people say Donald Trump was stronger for it because of that vigorous competition. 2020, he didn't have any competition. He lost the race. So what's wrong with keeping this contest going, keeping him on his toes, and letting the voters really decide who they want to see?
Well, that's an argument. I mean, I'm not telling Nikki what she should do. The voters of South Carolina are going to say, we prefer President Trump. It's not because we don't like Nikki. We just think he's the best person to beat Biden and straighten out a very troubled world. In terms of how long it lasts, I really don't know. That's up to her. But March 5th, mathematically, it's over. I mean, if you lose your home state, it's a pretty hard sell to other states. But there'll come a day when it's over. I hope she'll get behind President Trump. I believe she will. What worries me about this election cycle is the effort to destroy President Trump personally, his business, his family. He's spending $50 million on legal bills. So all these lawsuits really are hurting his ability to campaign and run for president.
Well, that's one of her points, that he spends all day in court, not on the campaign trail.
Yeah, but here's my answer to her. We don't want to let the left get away with this. You know, Nikki's riding high now with the liberal media. If she ever got the nomination, they'd turn on her like they did John McCain.
You think?
She would be a puddle before this is over. Whether you like Trump or not, what the hell are you going to say about him hadn't been said. He's the most vetted guy in the history of vetting. There's nothing you can say about him that hasn't already been said, so he's been tested. So I think these lawsuits are going to backfire. They're certainly backfiring in the Republican primary. I think the effort of these liberal cities to destroy Trump is going to help Trump before it's all said and done.
Senator, you earlier referenced this ongoing situation down in Georgia where this poor girl, 22 years old, was murdered. The suspect confirmed to be an illegal immigrant who originally crossed illegally into El Paso, Texas in September of 2022, was then released only to then be free to kill this girl who left for a jog, who never returned back. A friend calls. Half hour later, after the police respond, they find her dead along a lake on campus there. I mean, this is just a horrific, horrific story. What do you tell people, Americans, who see this happening and fear that this is coming to somewhere near them?
Well, it's going to get worse before it gets better if we don't change policy. I went to the border a few weeks ago, not to Munich. I want to support Ukraine, but the number one problem we have as Americans is a broken border, letting criminals and drugs and terrorists into our country. We're being overwhelmed by illegal immigrants. This guy was in custody and he was released. What do you tell her family? What does President Biden tell her family? We've been talking about this for 2 friggin' years. 8 million people, soon to be 10 million people, come across our border illegally during the Biden presidency. And this young lady died for no good reason. She died because of failed policies. It's a sort of a poster example of a broken border. And Biden has allowed this country to be at risk unlike any time since I've been in politics. He's been a miserable commander-in-chief. The bad guys are on the move all over the world. Ukraine, Europe is on fire. Israel's under attack. China's on the prowl. 5 billion people could die from the number of fentanyl tablets coming across the border, and now this young girl. These policies need to change, and folks are never going to change until you elect somebody new. Trump, on day one, will fix this. He will deport people by the hundreds of thousands who shouldn't be in this country on day one.
Wonder if Biden's going to say anything about this. Wonder if he's going to have any plans to go visit the family.
I wonder if he'll go back to the border. He spent 15 minutes at the border. So President Biden, go to the border, go to Eagle Pass, Texas, where I was at with Tim Scott, and hear for yourself what's going on and what you've done to our country. And you need to pick up the phone and you need to call this family.
Yeah. And
Senator,
go
great
when
to
it's
spend
not
time
been
with you
cleaned
again.
up, right?
Yeah.
Go when it's not been cleaned up. And the Border Patrol, they're heroes doing the best they can. They're overwhelmed. President Biden's abandoned the Border Patrol.
Senator, great to spend time with you.
Thank you.
Senator,
Appreciate you
thank you.
coming in.